shouldn't drink before a fight.
You learned this during your years in the fighting pits. I always drink before a fight.
It could get you killed. It could get me killed.
Today is not the day I die.
TV fans will remember actor Pedro Pascal as Prince Oberyn Martell in the HBO series Game of Thrones. His character fought and brutally lost a battle against the Mountain during a trial by combat. Well, now Pascal is taking on a new role starring as DEA agent Javier Pena in the Netflix hit series Narcos. Pena was one of the agents who helped take down drug lord Pablo Escobar in the 90s. Season 2 is officially streaming today. Good thing for you, it might be raining in your area over the weekend. You can watch it all. Here's a preview of what you can expect.
¿Problemas con quién?
La Kika.
La Kika. ¿Conoces a la Kika?
Quiere matarme.
Bueno, la Kika quiere matar a mucha gente, ¿eh? ¿Por qué te quiere matar a ti?
Porque puedo decirle dónde está Pablo Escobar.
¿Y cómo vas a hacer eso?
Yo sé exactamente dónde va a estar mañana y a qué hora.
Pedro Pascal joins me now on the set. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're speaking Spanish.
I am.
Yeah? Yeah, you grew up in California, though. What's it like speaking Spanish?
Well, I actually grew up in Texas and California and moved to New York in 1993. So I call myself a Chilean, Texan, California, New Yorker.
That's quite an image there. I see cowboy boots and a variety of other things.
Surfboard.
Yeah. So what drew you to this project? I mean, there's been a lot of stuff done on Escobar, from movies to books, documentaries. Why did you want to do this?
Well, to be transparent, the thing that drew me to the project would be Netflix to begin. I didn't know too much about Escobar. I knew as much as your average person, which is to say not too much, really. And the job came kind of fast, and I didn't have that much time to decide, and because it was Netflix, it was a no-brainer. And so it was sort of diving in and then starting from there and beginning the research, meeting the guy that actually existed, Javier Pena, who was down there heading the investigation, who was still alive, who was only recently retired. And so it all kind of, within a matter of weeks, I was just absorbing all of this information and then flying down to Colombia and starting to shoot.
So what is that like, playing someone who is alive, who you can talk to? I mean, you sort of trained for this movie with him.
It's intimidating. I was pretty scared. It was the most scared I'd ever been over a job, because I had never played anybody that actually existed. Obviously, the material that we're dealing with is large, complex, and so, but he was so nice. He just wanted to have a beer and have a chat and let me do my thing.
You say large and complex, and when I think about Escobar, he's this character that people have they've been intrigued by him. Like I said, there have been books on him and documentaries on him. We know how the story ends, but still you can't help but to be interested in him. What do you think it is about this character?
Well, there's so much about this specific history, which is very recent for all of us, that is stranger than fiction. And to be able to kind of back up moments within this cocaine drug war that just makes your jaw drop, and to be able to back that up with like actual archival footage, real newsreels, real photographs. Every moment that you're like, that can't be real, that can't have happened, and you're like, well, here's the actual footage that we have over that day, And so that's the thing that I think really blows people's minds. And of course, it's epic in its storytelling, and the fact that it actually happened is what people find hard to believe, and I think is so addictive.
Your parents fled Chile.
Yes, they did.
They fled Pinochet, the dictator there, and when they fled in the early 70s, this was a time of violence and drug running and all that sort of stuff. Different country, but I wonder if you ever spoke to them about why they fled and when they fled, and whether or not that period sort of informs you working on Narco and how you interpret the storyline.
Well, it's interesting because it wasn't something that we talked about very much. I think it was a very sudden thing that happened to my parents. I was very young. I was 9 months old when we fled Chile, and they were very young, and they were really kind of working really hard to make things come together as immigrants in the U.S. We're a very liberal family, and I think that that influence sort of helps me texture the character in a way that might not be terribly obvious to a viewer.
Yeah.
But at least I'm given the opportunity by the guy that I'm actually playing, by Netflix, by the creators of the show, to really investigate kind of the ambiguity and not see things not see all of it in black and white,
yeah.
or have a, I don't know, maybe like a conservative perspective on what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
It's sort of a strange, vague answer that I'm giving you, but
no,
that's how I'm discovering it.
Kind of understand that, because the thing about Escobar is that he's a great family man. You know, doesn't really come across as a particularly tough guy until it's about business. And you know, it's a story, it's a character you see over and over again, sort of in history, that you know, nobody's all bad and all good, right? So I can see that. You were like an artsy kid really early on. You've been doing like drama.
You mean like drama nerd?
Yeah, I guess that's what I call it.
It's my dad's fault. You know, it's funny. He's a doctor, but we would go to the movies a couple of times a week. That's part of my earliest memories of childhood, is going to the movies with my dad. Literally 2-3 a week since I was a young kid.
Right.
So that's where the fantasy kind of started. And then I was a swimmer as a child, and then I got bored with that by the time I was 14 years old, and they let me get into drama, and they're just like, whatever gets you out of the house, you know?
Right.
And it occupied so much time, and they were sort of amazed that I just didn't let this interest go, because everything else was like, oh, let me play the piano for a few months, let me get into this for a couple of months, and then drama.
What was it about drama that took you though?
I mean, I don't know. You know, I can't believe after all these years I can't come up with like the perfect answer. But it was just, I wouldn't necessarily say it was what I was good at. It was just something that I loved doing. And then it kind of shapes your identity if an interest ends up occupying so much of your time at such an early stage. And then before you know it, you don't know how to do anything else, you know?
Oh, you're doing it pretty well. Very quickly
much.
Before I let you go, Game of Thrones fans, Narcos fans, who's crazier?
You know what? They're competing. I'm amazed. I'm shocked that they're actually giving each other a run for their money.
Yeah.
I find that people that are watching Narcos are people that watch Game of Thrones.
Right.
So it's working out perfectly.
Are people with good taste, I'm sure you would say. Pedro Pascal, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.